Hey everybody, what's up? It's Romeric, Synth Coma, and I'm going to walk you through this song that I made. I got a couple people asking me how I got the sounds, and not that I'm anything special or I do anything sort of different than anyone else, but I would like to start doing some more educational videos when I have the time because, man, there are so many out there on Instagram and YouTube, and that's how I learned how to do a lot of this stuff, by people graciously, uploading things that they know and teaching others. So I thought, if there's anything to be had from some of the stuff I'm doing, then cool. And if not, enjoy the sounds anyway. So this song that I'm going to walk you through is this guy. So I have 10 patterns in here. This is the very first pattern. It's just sort of this ARP that goes through. Then it goes into the same thing, but with a little extra sound, glitch sound with a bass drum. And then with the bass guitar coming in, with hi-hats building up. And it stays on 3 a little bit longer for 8 beats because the bass changes, and that bass makes it feel like the melody is changing when the melody and the ARPs, those things are actually staying the same, but the bass changing makes it feel like it's going in a different direction. This has a little bit more drums to it. And in this section, take everything down because there's a pause in the song, so the listener knows that something new is about to come up, so there's like a little bit of a time to have them adapt to a transition that's about to happen. And in this next transition, I introduce a more sort of generic, well-known sort of synthwave sound that's not so tweaky, and it's just by itself with the bass drum and hi-hat. And then I introduce a new sound here, which I'll walk you through. Another ARP, but again, that ARP and the simplicity of that clashes with the other sort of sounds going on, so there's something dynamic happening with the sounds. I bring back the main ARP that started on 8, and I added a little bit of flutter, like a string flutter there. So let's stop this here and kind of walk you through each of the ones. So the first one is, we'll walk through 1 through 10. So first one is just that ARP sound by itself, and it doesn't ever change. It just kind of repeats. Again, it's the bass changing melody that makes it feel like the whole song is kind of changing in that way. So let's go to 2. This is when I drop in bass drum. So I got 3 layers of drums there, and this guy. Right, so we'll go to 3, and that's when I introduce some of the hi-hats and a little bit of noise, and bass drum, maybe a more sort of generic, sort of synth wave sounding, bass guitar. And I go to 4. Now the drums really get kind of crazy because the song is at its apex. And I'm using step components there to have it feel a little bit more dynamic. So we'll go to 5. That's when take things down. This is the breath in the song, right? So it's just those 2. That glitch guy and the bass. And then it goes into, then, after that little breath, into the synthwave part. So again, this guy being more traditional sounding synthwave, electronic sound, and the sonus dun, 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 versus the sort of glitchiness of the other part makes you feel like the song has gone somewhere different because it's not so sporadic anymore and kind of crazy. So let's go into 7. Alright, so this is where I'm introducing the new guy here. Another little ARP. Let's go to 8. I bring back the beginning, and now the strings are in there, and they're fluttering if you can hear them, and they're a little high pitched. There's like a dog whistle, high pitched sound in there. And if I just take these 2, so I'm introducing the third and final element of the song, but at the same time bringing in the beginning. And we go to 9. Now it took out that new part. So now I'm sort of decreasing things, right? If we go to 10th one, then it's just the flutter and the main original ARP that we started with. Because if you go back to 1, then the song repeats and then just starts on the main ARP. So let's go into phase 2 and start thinking about how I made some of these sounds. This one's pretty interesting because it is it's the keys and it's the ambient piano, but I've done a lot of different things to it. So let's check it out. So this sound will go, we'll stay on 1 and right. But for an ambient piano, let's like take the ARP off for a minute because that's the main thing. It's just like one chord, and this chord is these guys. So even, right, we have a lot of reverb on here and a lot of delay. So now let's listen to it. Right, it's like, and if I take off the filter and the LFO, it's really, it really becomes that piano again. So if we go back to the ARP and turn it on, I'll press hold here and do these guys. That's the basic sort of sound with the ARP going. And the filter I got going on. And the LFO. So the LFO is on an element. And you can see how that adds that little pulse. Right? It really changes things up. And actually if we go back to the reverb, but what helps it is the delay. Because now you have those dragging elements. Now if we put the LFO back on, oh, the other thing I wanted to tell you is that cutting the amp to be sharp really helps. That sounds beautiful, right? But it's not the sort of glitchiness I wanted when you completely take it out. Because it becomes sharp and it sort of makes it more pronounced. So again, if I turn off the LFO, turn off the filter, turn off the ARP, I have, turn off the reverb and turn off the delay. It really is that piano, but let's start it back up. Let's turn our reverb up and delay up. Filter on, LFO on, and finally the ARP on. And here's the sound. Right? It's really, I think, all about the LFO that makes that special. With obviously the ARP and the delay helps bring that out. So that's the first thing. Let's go to the second. So we have a bass drum. And it's just sort of a basic bass drum, but I've added some components in there that make it do triple, right? So right there, triple and double. And we have the one we started with and this new sound. And it's a little bit glitchy, so let's play with that sound if we can for a minute, and let's go to that. And so again, arpeggiator. Let's see what we got. Oh, the same. Okay, here. What makes that special is when you hit shift in the arpeggiator, I have a little bit of that little tweak going here. I've connected the notes and I've spread out the stereo a little bit. So if we listen to this guy again, just these chords, for instance, you know what? I will do the same chords that are on the thing, but I'll just hold shift and do it. So that's what it sounds like. And again, I just have the LFO. That's the sound by itself. So again, it sounds cool, but my goal is always to take a sound and try to tweak it to be something different and new and like ownable. So the flutter, and that one is a tremolo with the filter. And if you go way up, right, too much. So where can you push it and the speed? Right, I like to sort of push things so it really sounds a little bit different. So let's play those. Just the two without the bass drum. That's it, the ARP just keeps going and going. So it would be a little sort of boring if it just kept doing that. If we go to the third part, what makes it special is bringing in the bass. Right, this guy, because, now let's listen to that. But here it changes. So it feels like it's actually like going somewhere with that bass drum happening. And that bass guy is this one. Bass, I don't have my glasses on, but I can't see what that says. But it's that guy there. And there's not a lot I'm doing. There's really, I don't think there's a filter to it or a LFO, because I just kind of wanted a basic bass sound. But there is a lot of noise added to it, so we do these three. So you know, with the bass making those moves, it feels like the song is dynamically changing. So we go to 4, and 4 is where I introduce the, I think this guy? Yeah, the more traditional sort of synthwavy sound. But it doesn't have any ARP, so now I'm introducing something that we're used to hearing ARPs on the 8th track and the 7th track, but on the 5th, it's just sort of by itself all alone. So when you listen to that, we're at 5, right? Where are we? We're at 4 or 5. Oh, I just metered it. Here we go. Climb up a little bit. It gives it that positive. When you climb up that way, it gives it with the bass. Now before glitchy, now it gives it that really sort of ethereal, kind of magical, very positive vibe, because the synthwave sound is so nostalgic, and it's also climbing. It goes a little lower, right? It goes into sort of like a minor state, but then it goes back into a major state. So we go to 6. And introduce the bass drum back in. And we go to 7. Now we introduce our new sound. Where is it? Here? Yep. Another ARP, right? Always ARPs. But things are, a lot of the other stuff has cut out, because now we're in the third and final transition of the song, where we're going to start to end it. So we started minimal, we add a bunch of things, and now we're taking it away again to have a dynamic sort of structure of start, apex, ending. And then now we're on the third area of that. So let's look at this third sound, which is just these guys. The changes, I think I've done 2 here, yeah. So let's look at these sounds. Again, there's an ARP, so let me hold that and do it. Again, with the LFO, it's on a tremolo, which I really love to do. If you take off the filter, and if you take off the reverb and delay, it's just this. And if you take off the ARP, it's just like. But let's put the ARP back on. So let's give this guy back its reverb, back its delay, back on the filter and the LFO. And if we go back to here, we can hear this guy. And I think I have this one set to, oh, it doesn't have any width. Okay, so. That's the flutter part that we're going to hear next. So let's go to 8, because 8 introduces now something new. This guy. I'll just do it by itself. It's really high pitched too, and that one was really fun to make. Let's listen to that for a minute. And it's just, what chords did we use? Just these two. You hear that high pitch, it's super fun. So this is all about, there's no ARP on there at all, but there is a filter. So if I turn the filter off and the LFO off, it's just a string. I think I just used strings and an ensemble. If you listen to how that sounds, it sounds like an ensemble string, right? But again, let's push things. Let's give it a filter. And this filter is the ladder. So, and I really pushed, I really turned that up, because without it there's no high pitched sound, but I want that high pitched sound. And with the LFO, again, a flutter, because the tremolo flutter is always really cool. So if we do these guys again, but you turn this down. But I like to push things, so that's where we are with number 8. You hear it? And you hear that high pitch? It's really cool. If we go back to 9, now things are even more, we're subtracting more. But it's we're bringing back the very beginning, and possibly, maybe we can actually, I think for 9, take that out. I think that sounds kind of nice, actually. Yeah, I think that sounds nice. So let's take out the beginning out, and if we go to Shift 10, now at this point we're really just subtracting. So let's take this out, and now we just have the flutter by itself. So you really have taken everything out of the song and just ended on you actually added this at the last 2 or 3 areas of the song. You introduced something new. But now you're ending on that by itself with nothing else, and it's just a nice sort of calm, different. It sounds different than anything else in the song because it's more of a string ensemble with that flutter. So let's take a listen to the song in its entirety. So that's number 8 here, this guy. There's our ARP, and then we'll do the second one. Right, that sort of tweaky is on 7, bass drums on 1. Yep, and then the bass guitar comes in, and that's what really changes the dynamic of the song. Now we're in like phase 2 of the song, and the drums kick up. Now basically everything stays the same as it was on 3. We're just like increasing the drums on 4. Here we introduce the traditional sounding synth, and we take out all the drums, because now we're going to just pause and take a little break, a little breather. We take out the original sort of glitchiness on 7 and just have the ARP of the synth. Sorry, the synth by itself with the bass drum. Now we're on 6. Now the song transitions to the third, and we can call the last part, where we introduce that new element, but we keep the traditional synth sounding key there. Now we introduce that flutter string ensemble. It becomes very magical, but things are shifting. Things, you're like, where is this going? Is it about to end? Subtract more. Now it's that new ARP we made with the string ensemble flutter. So yes, this is about to end. We're in the final stage of the song. We subtract that flutter, and it's just left with, right, this sort of pulsing. One of the bands I have on Spotify is called Tender Pulses, because I could be a bit of a romantic, so I like tenderness type of things. And pulses, it's just that, and then it goes back to the beginning. So that's it. I hope that was useful. Sort of a long video. I've never done one of these before, but if you found it useful, let me know. I can do more. If not, all good. Just something for me to do on a Saturday afternoon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep making that content. I love this synth community, electronic community, DAWless, hardware community. You guys are awesome and inspire me like every single day. So, you know, my homeboys and homegirls out there, keep doing what you're doing, because you really inspire me to keep doing this stuff every single day. So thanks so much for listening and watching. Peace.